Hey folks, just wanted to put up a quick video to answer a couple of questions that I've gotten in the last few weeks, specifically about brass, its condition, how to inspect it, and whether it's safe to reload. And one of the problems is when you're a new reloader, you take a piece of fired brass and you look at it, and having very little experience, you figure, well, the brass is in one piece, there's no extra holes in it, there's just a big hole in the front and a small hole back here at the back end for the flash hole, and you figure, well, hell, looks good to me, it's still got two holes and it's round, let's load that sucker up and see what happens. And that's all well and good until you get your first case head separation, which happens sometimes. It even happens to experienced reloaders when they've properly inspected their brass, and it's their brass, they've had it since it was new, and they know how many times it was fired, they've always taken care of it, whatever. Sometimes it happens, people miss things, but specifically some folks have asked me about range brass you scrounge from your local range or from your local shooting spot, or maybe you bought off the internet, and the possibilities are endless. So I'm not going to be able to cover everything in this video. I just want to touch on some basics. And one of the tricks that I came up with, and I don't know that it's original or new, but it's something that I came up with on my own and I use it, is I'll take a few rounds of factory brass. For example, this is 30-06 and this is Remington. You see the RP head stamp right there. It's 30-06 Springfield. And I'll pull it down. I'll stick it in my kinetic bullet puller, get the bullet out, dump the powder out, deprime it. Yes, you can deprime live primers. You're not going to blow yourself up. And then I'll take a look-see inside of it. And the best way to take a look-see inside of it is with a nice bright flashlight. And I'll do it from two angles. I'll shine the light in through the flash hole, and I'll look down the neck, and I'll see what kind of tool markings or what the nature of the inside of the case wall is. Is it wavy? Does it have any tooling marks? Does it have anything unusual? And I might do that for 2, 3, 4 rounds. And while it seems like it might be kind of an expensive way to know what factory new brass looks like, it gives you a benchmark. It gives you something to compare against, and it's cheap insurance. If a box of, say, 20 of these Remington 06 rounds costs, I don't know, what are they going, $30 or something, $35 now at your local Wally World or Bass Pro or whatever, and you're going to pull down 5 or 6 of them, you know what, it's worth the handful of George Washingtons that you're throwing away, really, to just be able to do it. Same thing for pistol brass. I reload a lot of 45, so I've got some 45 brass that I pulled down. You'll notice this one looks pretty old and tarnished. It was a brand new piece of factory ammo. It's got the older WW head stamp there. Focus you. There we go. And the old red primer sealant they used to put on it. Sometimes you find this stuff at the range. Sometimes you find it for sale online as used, and you want to just compare and contrast. So with something like 45, it's got that nice gaping maw of a mouth on it. You get your light, shine it right down there, and have a look-see, right? Okay, well, that's what that one looks like, and that's what this one looks like, brand new, and you can kind of flip it around and get that light in from the back side here. Let's see if I can, right, get an idea of that, and then flip it around from here, and that's not going to, well, you can kind of see a different angle on the case wall, right? And this is all brand new brass. One thing that was really handy, and I got a piece of it here somewhere, let's see, it was PMC Brass. This piece right here. It's PMC, sold as 223 Remington. They also sell 5.56 ammo, which is more or less the same, under the, I think, like PMC X brand or something like that. But the head stamp is different. It says PS, and you usually stamp a year on there instead of PMC like this one's got with 223 Rem. And I noticed that right about here in the case wall, so just above the head, where the head ends and the case wall begins, there was I don't know how to describe it. It was a divot, a line going all the way around the brass on the inside of the case wall. And I was a little curious as to whether that was caused by stretch or if it was something from the factory. And so I took a new round, pulled it down, took a look, and sure enough, the brand new round has the exact same mark in it. Let's see if I can get some light in there to show you. It's going to be a trick with that small case mouth, though, to get this thing going. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think that's really going to turn out there. Just don't have the... Well, you can kind of see right there through the flash hole, there's what looks like a little bit of a line. And it goes all the way around the inside of the case wall. I'm sorry about the crap video. I'll try and get some stills to add to this video before I upload it. And so I realized that, hey, this is something that's, whether you want to call it a defect, characteristic, flaw, or whatever, from the factory. So I knew that the brass that I'd picked up and that I'd been given didn't have any particular flaw to it, that was inherent to the brass itself when it was brand new and unfired, which is good, which means I can watch for other changes in the PMC brass as I go through it and as I use it, and that will be an indicator of wear and tear and potential failure, and give me an idea when I should toss it in the recycling bin and move along. Nickel cases. Nickel cases are kind of interesting. Get that light in there a little bit better. You can kind of see down there on the bottom, it's a little chowdery right where the case wall starts at the bottom. And by chowdery, I mean that it's got nicks and dings and divots in the nickel plating. I have no idea why that happens, other than something to do probably with the plating process, or maybe with they clean it after they plate it. But this starts off as brass, and then it gets plated in nickel, a very thin layer. And then it goes on to the processes of being, sized, reloaded, etc. Some people might take a look at that and think, oh, well, it's starting to stretch away, the wall is starting to stretch away from the head, and this is no good, I should toss it. If that was the case, then you'd have to throw away brand new ammo, because this was a brand new unfired piece of 45 ACP brass, and this is Winchester 45 auto. And I've seen similar things in Federal. And again, I got a Federal 45 auto. I should say I've seen the same thing in Federal nickel plated. This is Federal 45 ACP, just plain old brass. And there's what she looks like on the inside. You can kind of see a line down by the base on the inside that almost looks like an area where the brass is starting to pull away from the case wall. And if you take a pick or a bent paper clip or something and run along there, you'll actually feel a difference in the metal. Something's going on there. However, again, this is brand new, and this is just one example of 3 or 4 I've pulled down from different lots. It's a characteristic of the tooling of the factory. It might even be related to how cartridge brass is made, where they start with a disc of brass, and it's formed with a die into a cup, a very small cup shape, and then it is run over a series of different dies to size it, lengthen it, and control the case wall thickness, and so on. And I don't know all the details of it, but again, it's drawn out. And when you draw metal, you work harden it, and so it has to be annealed during the process, sometimes more than once. So this could be just an artifact of the drawing process. It could be an artifact of insufficient annealing temperature at some point. Who knows? But the other 49 rounds that were in this box all went bang just fine. And when after I tumbled them and cleaned them and took a look, you know what? They all had that same mark there, but nothing else. So no other indications of failure or weakness, no cracks in the case wall or no enlarged primer pockets. So there you go. So your best bet is, if you're going to buy used brass, scrounged used brass, or even want to have an idea of what the used brass from ammo that you bought brand new should look like after the fact, take apart a few new rounds, keep them somewhere. I keep them in a separate bag, factory unfired brass, pretty basic for a lunk like me to remember, why are those rounds in there? And of course, since I sometimes spill things, I'll even, take the old Sharpie and write there, unfired. Okay, so I know what that's all anyway, I hope this helps some people. I hope it gives some folks an idea of you know, how to inspect your brass, how to know your brass, how to read your brass, and how to understand whether or not it's safe to use. You know, and if it's not, you should toss it. All right. If you like this, if it was helpful, give it a like. If you thought it was crap, go ahead and rip on me in the comments. I'll probably just ignore them anyway. And talk to you later, guys. Bye.